Hey, how you doing? It's me, it's Richard Crawford Small. Welcome to Vancast. Vancast episode 1, the Rebirth. So, next 35 minutes, we are going to talk about me. Haha, yeah, it's what I've been doing, the journey I've been on, what Vancast is all about, and the inspiration behind Bollocks to the Algorithm, BTTA, the book I'm currently in the middle of writing, but also the philosophy around what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So why is it Vancast? Well, because I am authentically in my 1989 Chevy G20 van. Those of you watching the visual experience will see that as being true. Actually, a little bit of a lie, it's a bit of a green screen effect, but the intention is to use my van as a studio. But you know what? Prolific beats perfect. I just wanted to get this up and running, get it going, and out and running. And why 35 minutes? Well, 35 minutes is the average time for an episode of Ted Lasso. And someone said to me once that the maximum length of content you want to be doing is no longer than an episode of Ted Lasso. So again, those of you watching on the visual experience will see up there the Lassometer at 33 minutes and a half right now, so I better get into it. So, quick one, who am I? Well, my name is Richard Crawford Small, everyone calls me RCS, and I am a sales and marketing consultant. I sit at the intersection of coaching and consultancy, which kind of means that I always felt that it was a bit disingenuous, I guess, as a coach to kind of go and tell people this is what you go and need to do, but then not give them any actual support on how to do it. So from a consultancy point of view, I love doing strategy, I love coming up with ideas, I love helping people to work out, guess what their own value is, and then understanding how to communicate that value to other human beings. One of my firm beliefs is that whatever you create has absolutely no value unless you can communicate it effectively to someone else, unless you can put it in the mind of another human being. And when you do that, then all of the things that you create, all the value that you have, suddenly it comes alive because people understand it, they get it. Oh yeah, I get what you're talking about. But you know, unfortunately, like a lot of things, it's one of those things that's easier said than done. So I've created Team GSD as our program to help people do that. But the macro, if you like, the overarching philosophy around all of this is bollocks to the algorithm. So indulge me for a few minutes while I just give you this kind of a bit of backstory and how I arrived here. So I've been, I guess, in sales and marketing for like 25, 30 years, something like that. Before then, I was very much involved in, I guess, what you call as creative digital media, the early days of the internet. I was in the Navy for 8 years. Yeah, so all these are different stories. I'll fill you in on all that sort of stuff further down the road. But for the last kind of 20 years, actually, I've been working very much in one market, the medical aesthetics market, working with doctors, nurses, plastic surgeons, dermatologists, to help them, express their value. And it's been this really interesting market to work in, very vibrant, very innovative. But, one of the things that's happened is, I guess after 20 years being in one market, I got burnt out. And it wasn't just working in the market that burnt me out. It was actually lockdown that did a lot of it. And it sounds weird being sat here in 2024, middle of 2024, talking about something that happened a couple of years ago. But let me share my experiences with you about how kind of burnout kind of approached me and affected me. And I'm a guy who kind of prides himself on lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm, lots of motivation. When I get hold of something, I don't let it go. I just kick doors down, properly motivated. Think of myself as basically a bit of a bull in a china shop. And all of a sudden, I wasn't. And I just lost all of my energy. I lost everything. And how burnout arrived for me was I stopped caring. And that was very, very unusual. And that actually was really, really quite scary. I actually stopped caring about most of the things that I was doing. And I stopped caring about creating content. We had a very vibrant Facebook group, and I stopped caring about putting content out. I stopped caring about helping people. I stopped caring about lots of different things. What I did care about was fixing my van and my bike. And my van, as much as I love it, only got it about a year ago, and I don't think it's been nothing but trouble ever since I got it. I live in this forlorn hope that the next thing I fix will be the last of it, but it's currently held together with cable ties and positivity. But you know what? It is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of changed my headspace into literally just fixing my motor vehicles. And it's only in hindsight that I realised that what I was doing was meditating. And just thinking, finding myself, collecting my thoughts. Because once I just, going back to when it kind of hit me, when it manifested, is I was at the top of my game, and businesses were doing really, really well. I had a great community, and I went to a kind of a bit of a retreat, and I was sat on a hay bale talking to a friend of mine, and he said, how's business going? And I just wanted to kind of say the usual thing, it's fantastic, everything's great, blah, blah, blah. And I opened my mouth, and words came out were, I don't think I've ever felt as trapped in my life. And that was really something, my subconscious spoke. The kind of probably the 3 brownies that I had loosened my tongue and made me speak the truth. And when I said those words, everything changed. I couldn't go back to how it was. And I knew that I was burnt out. And during lockdown, I was very proud to, help my community keep their lights on. Everybody was suffering the same thing. I didn't get any support from the government or furlough or anything like that. So we had to keep grafting through it. And a lot of people were like that as well. In my community, because I was working with medical professionals, a lot of them went back into the NHS and obviously supported that effort. So they were getting paid. But in my world, I had no skills other than doing this. So that was a challenge. But I got through it. We got through it, came out the other side, we grew, but I didn't get a break. And this was the thing that I realised. I just kept going at a real pace. And one day, it just stopped. And burnout doesn't arrive with a sign saying you're burnt out. It arrives with symptoms like apathy, lack of sleep, and depression. And that was the one that really, really hit me. So, this isn't a massive sob story, but I'm just explaining to you why things have been how they are and why I've arrived at this point. Because there is there's an upside to all of this. So basically that's essentially what happened. I just burnt myself out. And I spent a good while, living off our savings. I had a few clients and a few loyal guys, who I just, enjoyed working with, and carried on working with those, and a few projects that popped up here and there. But I wasn't really going out looking for anything. Just fixing my van, fixing the bike, and just, spending some time in my own head. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Sometimes I didn't even want to talk to my own family. And all of these things were devastating, I think, for me, because after all of this, when you start to feel better, I had anxiety attacks, my confidence was shot to bits, and all of these things were in my head. None of it was real. I couldn't create content because I had that fear of creating content again. This is going from someone who I'd done over thousands of live broadcasts and videos, and I had a podcast series with 30 episodes in it. All these different things. I was prolific at creating content. Then all of a sudden, I was paralyzed. I was crippled. I could not press record. I could not press play. I couldn't create. I couldn't think. And it was a really challenging time, especially when you make your money. The irony of it all, right? When you make your money helping people share their value through digital marketing, when you're coaching them, and you can't do it yourself, you're in a bit of a problem. So I recognized this, and I thought, right, okay, time to change. It's time to change things up, trying to shake this out. Let's get going. And that was sort of summer last year. I was like, right, I'm ready to go. And then we went camping at the end of August last year. Me, my wife, three of my kids, my son's girlfriend, and my dad and my stepmom. And unfortunately, at 9 a.m. on the morning after we arrived, my dad suffered a heart attack at the campsite, and he was, alive at 8:40, and he was gone at 9 a.m. And it just took the wind out of my sails. I was very, very close to my father. And I feel also getting emotional as I'm speaking about this, to be fair, but of course I am going to. So that just took the wind out of my sails completely. Any of those of you've lost a parent, or if you've been in my shoes, you'll be ready. You will understand where I'm coming from. It just took everything out from under my legs. And not only that, it wasn't just dealing with my own grief. I had to deal with the grief of my family and be there. So it was a very, very difficult time. Then you're in, by the time you got through that, you're into winter, and then you know the story, how it all goes. I don't need to kind of lay this out for you, but the long and the short of it is, the moment I came out of all of this was, we had my dad cremated, and we kept some of his ashes. I've got some in the van, so he goes everywhere with me when I go in the van. I've got a little bit on the bike, so he goes everywhere with me there. But the bulk of it, we decided that we wanted to have somewhere physical to go and remember him, and a grave site, if you like. So bought a little plot, little square, and I was given the honour of lowering him into the ground. So it's a little box, the size of a shoebox. And I'm lowering him into the ground. I say lowering, I literally just putting it in there, trying not to drop it. But I had this thought, and it was almost like he was speaking to me. It's a weird spiritual thing, but it was like he was speaking to me. And the voice in my head said that this is what happens to you if you are lucky. If you are lucky, this is what happens. You get put in a box and stuck in the ground. And that's it. So why the fuck am I worrying about everything else? Why am I so concerned about all of the other things going on in my life? Why am I so concerned about money? Why am I so concerned about making content? Why am I so concerned about all of this sort of shit? In the grand, wonderful scheme of life, it means so little. And I stood up from that site, and I felt free. I felt like a release. And it was just such a very, very strange thing. And it wasn't a case of I went, oh, well, fuck it, I don't care about anything else. I'd kind of been through that with the sort of burnout feeling. And I was just frustrated in a sense, because I was just getting myself back together and ready to go for it. And this was thrown at me as well. And so, I just sort of took a big step back and thought, right, okay, let's go again. And obviously that was, September last year. But it's taken a bit of time to get everything up and running and get myself back together again and energized. But I'm here. And if none of those things had happened, I wouldn't be the man sat here. I wouldn't be as I am. And could say back to his old self. Actually, I'm not back to my old self. I'm really not. I'm someone different. I'm something different. All the different experiences I've had, all the different emotions I've felt over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, they're all new. I guess I'm blessed in the sense that to reach the age of 50, oh, that was the other thing, I turned 50 this year as well, reach the age of 50 and not to have had anybody in my real close family die since I was about 12, so obviously grandparents and things like that, but they lived in the West Indies, and as much as I missed them, they weren't there every day. They weren't in my life every day. So, that was, a blessed experience perhaps, but it left me woefully unprepared for when it actually did arrive. So, we move forward, right? We move forward, always forward, always forward. And as I mentioned just then, turning 50 as well. That was a bit of a moment also, because I'm the adult, and And I've never felt that way before. I've never felt like the adult. There's always someone who knew a bit better than me. There's always someone out there who knew more than me, who could do it better than me. And that's probably true in a lot of senses. But there is only one me. And I have to do this the way I do it. And at the age of 50, if I'm not going to stop second guessing myself now, when the hell am I going to stop second guessing myself? So I made a decision, and the decision was bollocks to it, bollocks to the algorithm. I'm just going to be me and just crack on with doing the shit that I love to do. So this is a long kind of way around of coming to the point of why I wanted to talk about you today, which is bollocks to the algorithm. What did it mean? What is it? And it's the title of my book. As I say, I'm currently writing that. And it started off as a sales and marketing brand tagline, because one of the things that I really recognize over the last few years of working in sales marketing and also coaching is the fear of creating content, right? It's the fear of judgment. It's the fear of looking stupid, not knowing what you want to do, not knowing what you want to say. It's all totally overwhelming, and then all of a sudden on top of that, someone throws at you, got to do, what about the algorithm? The algorithm needs you to do this. The algorithm says you need to do that. And it's just too much. I agree, yes, that you can control how the algorithm sees and processes your content, but you know what? Let's just kick that one down the road for a bit, because if you're sat here and you're listening to this, listening to me, and you're you don't have a massive marketing budget, you don't have a huge marketing team, it's probably just going to be you creating this shit, and you're not really totally comfortable with it, but you kind of have to do it. Not because everyone's saying you got to do it, but if your business, if you're not creating content and doing doing digital marketing, and your business is successful, then absolutely congratulations, take my hat off to you. But you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and if your business isn't running in the way you want it to, you're not getting the leads coming through, and you're not creating content or putting yourself out there, well then let's just explore simple reason why it's not working is because you're not doing that. So either way, you need to start doing it. And all of a sudden that just opens up a whole massive amount of things that you could learn. And my kind of role in all of this, I feel, is to simplify it for you. It's just to make it easy decisions, simple things you need to do, and help you enjoy it. Because for me, it's about, if you took the word marketing out and you took social media out of all of this and just added conversation, added connection, added storytelling, it makes it more palatable, because ultimately that's all it is. It's a story or a perspective or a point of view or some insight, some wisdom, education, information from one human being, i.e. me, to another human being, you, through a media. And at this point, the media is audio, for those of you listening on the podcast, and video. Hey, how you doing? For those of you who are watching on YouTube or through Matrix or whatever. And the reason I'm doing video is because podcasts are great, because you just basically talk for half an hour and then you've got shitloads of content. You take some snippets from that, you stick it out on your TikTok, on your YouTube, on your Instagram, and say, hey, here's a little bit of wisdom from me, and people go, ooh, that's interesting. I'd like to listen to some more of that. So they listen to your podcast. And they listen to your podcast and they think, oh, do you know what? This guy making some sense. I want to hear a bit more. So then they jump into your Facebook group. And then I think, oh, do you know what? I love what you're saying. I think you could help me. And then maybe they buy one of your programs. That's the path, the well-trodden path of, generating revenue through digital marketing. If you're not in the knowledge economy, how's that for a term, right? The knowledge economy. It's just like, hey, man, this guy's doing some shit and talks shit and gets paid for it. That's the knowledge economy. But let's say, for example, that you're actually in physical manufacturing or services. So, like, you're a plumber, electrician, or, you make widgets, right? Well, the process is exactly the same. You still apply the same philosophy to it. Have the conversation. How can what you do impact other people? The great the analogy about people don't buy drill bits, they buy holes. Well, they don't actually buy holes. What they do is they're buying and experience. So you sat there watching House of the Dragon. That's what I'm watching at the moment. Absolutely awesome. It's much better the second time round as well, actually. Started season 2, watching it thinking, I haven't got a clue what's going on. I need to go back and watch season 1. Watching season 1, it's actually better the second time round. Really is. Not quite Game of Thrones good, but it's good. I'm enjoying it. Anyway, so let's say that you've got your TV on your wall and you're watching, sitting there, waiting for your Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon experience. You've got your LEDs around the telly, it's there, and all you can see this bloody power lead hanging down. It's irritating the shit out of you, right? Got the power lead hanging down. So, what do? You buy a drill bit? No, you didn't buy a drill bit. You didn't buy a hole. What you bought was the ability to watch your TV program completely uncluttered without doing your OCD in. That's what you bought. And that's a story. You tell that story, right? And someone who's out there is experiencing exactly that thing. And, hey, that's what I need, right? I could buy it myself. Or do you know what? What I might do is I might get that guy around. He can drill a hole. He can stick it through. He can do it himself, and I'll pay him for it. It's a wild analogy, but that's how people buy. That's the way. People buy benefits, not tools, not objects. They want the benefit from them. So that's what you sell. And by doing things like this, by creating these sorts of that sort of content, you're able to communicate to your people, your tribe, your people, how you do things, why you do things, and connect with them on a way that you may well not have done so before. And that's it. That is the marketing conundrum. It's the right message to the right people, the right number of times, and you get the right result. And don't overcomplicate it. So that's part of the whole thing. Now, from the digital marketing side of things, the bollocks to the algorithm, right? You just create what you want to create that makes you laugh, that's targeted to a particular person to make them laugh or give them enjoyment or information, insight, education, experience, whatever. And they move through. Now, there's a broader mission here as well. And for me, it's directly related to the moment where I stood up from my dad's graveside. And it's freedom. I want freedom. And I want to help people get that. Because during the dark times, shall we say, right, I started looking for jobs, actually. I did. I started looking for a job. I thought, do you know what? If I can't go back to what I was doing before, if I can't get my energy back to do these things, to help people, to create the content, to teach them, to do the courses, if I can't get my energy back to do this, I'm going to need to do something else. So I started looking around about things I could do. And I thought, well, you know what? I don't mind driving. I could drive a truck, perhaps. Looked at HGV driving. Looked at train driving. I looked at all sorts of things, right? I even kind of toyed with looking at going back into the Navy. Because at 49, I don't think I was quite too old to join up again. But I might be 40 or might have been 50, but my knees were 100. So that ain't going to happen. But, and then I thought, well, you set yourself a bit low. You could look at go and do some marketing director job or something like that. You could do that in your sleep. Part of the problem there is I'm actually quite a nice guy. I like to think I'm a nice guy, but I've been, working on my own, self-employed, working my own business for like 12 years. I'm unemployable. There's no way I would want to inflict myself on someone as an employee. Why would I want to do that to someone? I'd ruin some poor person's life by them having to, deal with me on a daily basis. Just, no. As an employee, I would be awful. So, you're welcome, everyone out there. I decided not to go for it because one of you probably would have given me a job and regretted it for the rest of your life. You'd be doing a podcast about me. So, yeah, that was that. But what it did make me realise also is, where my skill set was at. So coming back round to it all, and also just realising that, when you're running your own business, or even if you've got a side hustle or whatever it is that you're doing, it's giving you freedom. It gives you the ability to control the amount of revenue that you generate. Now, I know that might sound untrue in a sense. It's like, well, how can I control what revenue I generate? Is because this is I believe that money is a form of energy, right? It's totally tied to your output. And if you're clever, most people are, if you're reasonably clever and you identify what you can do, how you help and support people, you identify the people who need your help and support, you understand how you can communicate to them and give them value, serve them, give them more value than they can possibly use, and they pick and choose, and you've got a pipeline of products and services, you'll generate revenue, right? You will. But you've got to turn up. It's all about your output. And my output was phenomenal. It was a high rate, which partly led to me burning out, to be honest. So now I'm managing it a little bit more. But your output is totally controlled by you. That's it. But on the flip side, don't buy into the hustle thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger said something once like sleep faster. I mean, come on, that's just stupid. It really is. I mean, I respect that guy. He's an incredible entrepreneur and a great businessman. But you know what? Sleep faster. I need my 8 hours, 9 sometimes, and if I get less than that, I don't operate particularly well. So that's just horseshit, right? Sleep faster. No, what you do is you look at the amount of time that you have available, and you prioritize the tasks. And you create a solution for a person, and then go and tell them about this solution. And you do it in a way that resonates with them, and they will buy it, and you'll make money. And, business is simple. You create a product or service to solve a problem, you sell it, and you look after the money. Those are the only 3 elements to it. And the resources that you have are time, energy, and money. And if you don't have any money, you're going to have to use your time and your energy to generate it. And when you have your money, then you can use other people's time and other people's energy to generate more money. That's how this works. That's the cycle. So first, if you're at standstill, you've got to invest the time and energy, generate the money, and then you invest the money so you can be a little bit more strategic and other people can help grow your business. That's how it works. So, you've got to kind of focus on that. And when you can do that, then you generate that sense of freedom. And that's when you can say bollocks to the algorithm. It's like fuck you money. I don't think you need an awful lot to say fuck you money. It depends on your situations, of course. It depends on your how much you need to earn a month, to be fair. What your kind of spending habits are. Did you buy a 5.7 litre V8 American van that does about 12 miles to the gallon and then want to go on holiday in it? Did you, or were you sensible and you bought something a little bit less cool, but less thirsty? I don't care. I love my van, but you get my point. What your consumption habits and all those different things obviously dictate how much money you need to earn. And these are all the variables of life. These are all the different variables. But my message to you in this first Vancast is just say bollocks to the algorithm and design the life that you want. Design the life that you want. Now, I don't give a shit if that sounds super Tony Robbins or a bit self-help. I really don't care. Because it works. It works for me doing that kind of thing. Just sitting back, thinking and goal setting and just thinking about what it is you want to achieve. Making a decision to achieve it, a committed decision to achieve something that really lights you up. You have a burning desire. And then after that, you have to really go for it. Immediate, massive action. And then you repeat that consistently for as long as it takes. And that's my definition of goal setting. A committed decision to achieve a burning desire, followed by immediate, massive action, repeated consistently for as long as it takes. I've been teaching that methodology for about 10 years, and it works. It's effective. Now, where I was at is I didn't have the desire. I lost that burning desire to create. I lost the burning desire to achieve. But it's back. Oh hell yeah, it's back, and that's going to benefit you, because if this is resonating or connecting with you, then it means that I can help you. And if you want me to help you, there's a couple of ways you can do that. Really simple. Is you can jump into our Facebook community, or actually even simpler than that, just go to the website. Website's really simple. It's iamrcs.com. www.iamrcs.com. Again, part of this whole rebirth thing I learned, I used to talk an awful lot about not hiding behind brands and allow your personal brand, your personality to drive through everything you do. So we've got lots of different programs and sub-brands, but right at the top, it's me. I am RCS. The support I can give you, how my team can help you, all the things that we can do. So anyway, and by the way, and that's actually not even a sell. That's just literally the Facebook group is free. Jump into it, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe I'll help you. We may not. But even if you're just enjoying listening to the podcast, next week I'm going to be talking more about the marketing processes. I'm going to be talking about the cookie cutter strategies that a lot of people do, as I'm jumping back into all of this, and I'm going to share my journey with you as I go through all of this. TikTok I quite enjoy. You might be sitting thinking, oh God, not TikTok's full of wankers, blah, 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 blah. And actually, yeah, the thing with social media is actually it is often full of wankers. But, so is society, right? And you don't talk to them in the pub, so don't talk to them online, Simple as that. You've got to learn to use social media as a mechanism to communicate rather than as a mechanism that uses you. So the doom scrolling, all that kind of stuff. And again, teach you how to do all of that sort of stuff. But, one of the things I look at TikTok is you need to be posting 3 to 5 times a day to generate any kind of engagement on TikTok. It's like, okay, maybe that's the case. Maybe that's true. But you know what? If you haven't got time to do it 3 to 5 times a day, then don't do it 3 to 5 times a day. Do it as often as you can, But we're going to be going through all of that through this series. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you today, the philosophy behind bollocks to the algorithm. I want you to say bollocks to your own algorithm. Break it up. The algorithm that says that we leave school, we get a job, we buy a house, we have kids, we get married. Well, yeah, okay, you got to leave school. Get a job. You don't have to get a job. If you got a job, you could get rid of your job and go and do something that really lights you up, that inspires you, your passion. You can do that. You can make money out of your passion. The more cool something is, the harder it is to do that. But you know what? There's nothing stopping you from doing that. You just got to find out what it is and then share and communicate it. Buying a house. We'll go into detail about all of this because I really don't subscribe to the whole house buying thing. I live in a really nice house in Farnham in Surrey, in a very nice, relatively interesting part of the country. Have to be careful there. But the house I'm in is ridiculous. You'd be sitting on such a big pile of money rather than using it. So we'll come on to all of that anyway. Getting married, having kids, whatever, all these different things, all totally optional. But what isn't optional is leaving school and dying. Those are two kind of things that you've got. And as one of my heroes, Jimi Hendrix, says, I'm the one who dies when it's time for me to die. So let me live my life the way I want to. And I'll leave you with that. At 1 minute and 37 seconds to go on the Lassometer. Guys, tune in next week. We'll be digging into a little bit more information. Like I said, jump onto into the community. Say hi. Hopefully this has resonated with you and you've got some value from it. My name's been RCS, Richard Crawford Small. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And peace out. Speak soon.